All right, let me look over here at some of the people who have called in, and I think I'm going to go right here to Michelle in Illinois. Hi, Michelle. Joe Beam, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. How may I help you?
I my question really is very similar to what you've just been talking about.
Hmm.
I feel confused on how to remain hopeful that this will end the limerence my husband is in. He left to live with his affair partner. But at the same time, I know I need to move on emotionally for myself, the pies.
Mm-hmm.
But this feels like a mental contradiction that I'm
Uh,
struggling with daily.
I see. And help me understand, what about it feels like a contradiction?
I guess when I feel like I'm moving on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm tricking my mind. Okay, I don't want this. This is fine. I'm going to be okay. And I feel like that's a contradiction to remaining hopeful.
I can understand that. Now, help me understand what you mean or what you think and feel when you say moving on.
I guess accepting what's happened and
Mm-hmm.
accepting that he doesn't want my forgiveness and he wants to, in his own words, see where this goes with this other person.
Yeah.
And
Okay. You know, if I may ask, how long has he been involved with her?
um, it's 2.5 years now. I found out 6 months ago.
Okay.
We've been married for 24 years.
Okay.
Um, his coworker of both of them, they work for an airline, which is not a good job for relationships,
No.
ratted them out because he had not told me in 2 years.
Uh, so somebody felt enough empathy for you and integrity that you needed to know. That's good. So he's now living with you. Say, how long has he been living with her?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. And what kind of contact, if any, do you guys have with each other?
Well, I've been trying to do smart contact so I don't really bother him. I wait for him to call me, which he does
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
call. It's gotten less. In the beginning, probably a few months in, he would come over for dinner, and we
Mm-hmm.
actually ended up being together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that scared him after the second time. He felt like he was being unfaithful to her,
Yeah.
which killed me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
Yeah.
now he's really distancing himself from me, and it's gotten very, very limited. And he's even bringing up the word divorce because he said, I really don't want a divorce from you. But now she got divorced within 6 months, and she's pushing him.
I bet she is. And so, even though he's thought about divorce, as far as you know, he has not filed for divorce, and you would know, of course, they'd serve you. So that hasn't occurred. Do you guys have children?
No, but I was in a limerent relationship with him, and he had two small children when I met him, 6 months and 2 years. So I feel like I was technically an affair partner. I just don't know how I lasted 27 years um,
Well,
because his
it's
first
atypical.
marriage lasted seven.
Hmm. It is atypical. If it starts with if limerence leads to the end of one marriage and beginning of another, it's atypical for that marriage to last very long. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it doesn't happen much. And so you've beaten a lot of odds to get to where you are now. The fact that you've been together for these many years. The woman he's involved with, is she similar in age to him or significantly different?
No, similar.
Okay. All right. And so here's what I hear you saying. I'm going to wrap this up here. You say, I'm accepting the fact that it's happened, that I can't change it. I'm not pursuing him, and by doing that, I'm practicing smart contact. But at the same time, it seems like as I do that, I'm losing my own hope that anything will ever happen. That's what I've heard you say so far. Is that correct?
Yes, and he just recently told me he sees no way that we'd ever get back together. I think that was his prologue to bring up her pushing him for divorce. They're having fights, which they've never had fights before,
Oh,
apparently.
I'm glad they're having fights. Good. That's good
Me
news. I
too.
like that. We're together on that. We're together on that, Michelle.
Yes.
The fact that he says he can never see you guys being together again, please don't let that program you, because we run into those kinds of things all the time, and people not only say things like that, sometimes they say the meanest things you can imagine to the other person. And so I know it hurts, I know you don't like to hear it, and it's awfully hard to stand up and just take it because it's just mean. But I'm suggesting that if you possibly can, don't believe that. Now he may believe it, I'm not saying he doesn't, but understand that this limerence thing, at some point, even though your relationship with him started with limerence, at some point you were able to work past that. Now, that's exceptionally, exceptionally rare. That's why we tell people limerence always ends. And the limerence thing does. The limerence thing always ends, which means that that uncontrolled thinking, that obsessive thinking, that panic, that fear that you're not going to wind up with the other person, it will end no matter what. And if we had a lot of time and could analyze you, we'd figure out when it ended for you guys. Now, obviously, because of the principles that we stand for, I'm not really excited about the fact that you did that all those years ago. But we're not talking about years ago. We're talking about where you are now. And so if you have a specific question, is the question, because what I'm seeing on my screen here is your specific question is, will limerence end? And I'm assuring you that it will. Is there something else that you want to ask more specific than that?
I guess I worry that it's really not limerence. He has all these signs and symptoms. He told me the famous "I love you, but I'm not in love with you."
Yeah.
And I've, unfortunately snooped in the beginning. Now I've been cut off from that, but I've seen a lot of things that I wish I'd never seen. And it was really like a teenager in puppy love. So it just follows all of these things.
And it's
But
been
I
going on
think,
about
they're scared. Look
about
at me.
30 months, right? That was what I heard you say earlier. As far as you know, it's going to be going on about 30 months.
Yes.
Which means that, in all likelihood, it's well past the halfway point. Now, we can't give exact timelines on limerence. We just know that it's going to run somewhere between 3 months and 48 months based on the studies, the research done by others, not by me, but by others, and that at least half of them are over by the end of the 24th month. That kind of thing happens, although, we can't predict exactly what the time frame is going to be for your husband. The fact that they're fighting now means that she's pushing. That's because of the fact that she sacrificed. You said she's already sacrificed her husband. She's divorced him. So she's made sacrifices, and now she's pushing. Well, what you hope to do here is this, is that you continue to be the best that you can possibly be. Okay, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. Because the fact that she's now pushing that may indeed push him into divorcing you. That's a possibility. But it's also possible that him pushing her, or her pushing him, I should say, that her pushing him will begin to generate those feelings of, wait a minute, because he's far enough into this, it's very likely that the halo effect is beginning to wear off. Now, I can't guarantee it. I'm just saying it's likely. And if the halo effect is beginning to wear off, then the fact that she's pushing him about anything is actually going to work to her disadvantage. And that's when we tell people what you do is you continue to be the best place you can be, the best person you can be, so that when that other thing begins to fall apart, they look back at you and think, I gave up something here. Now, again, and thank you, Michelle, for calling. I don't, and this is not to attack Michelle. She's 24 years after the fact, but understand that when marriages start this way, it can be difficult.